Okay, so I want to show you guys how to use or how to create templates so that way when you go to write offers, your contracts are completed. Um, you know, obviously you're going to always have to change who the buyer is, who the address, and there's going to be terms you have to change, but there's a lot of stuff that's going to be already, pretty much you can autofill it. Just so that way you don't miss anything when you are, writing these offers. So let me go ahead and get there so you guys can see. If you, for whatever reason, you don't see my screen, let me know that you can't see it. But where I'm at right now, I'm in the transactions area of CAR, car.org. So this is where your contracts are kept. And so what you do is on the top, if you notice, it says dashboard, forms, transactions, templates, doc and box tasks. So that this is the right page if you're on this page. Okay.
Mhm.
So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the top where it says templates. Okay. So you're going to go to, we're going to create a new template. So when you click on the template, I have templates already, you guys. So that's why you're going to see my templates, but you want to create, I have templates for everything. So you're going to go here to new, see that? And then you're going to create it for new purchase or offer. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to make sure you guys can still see everything I'm doing. Okay, so then once you come here, you're going to name your template. So you're going to, the best thing to name it is standard purchase. Standard because sometimes there's short sales or foreclosures or other types of purchase, but we're just going to put standard sale purchase. And I like to date it because obviously things get updated. So when you did this. So it would be 3/25. Okay, and then you're going to select residential. And then right here, auto apply. Do not automatically apply it. You do not want them to automatically apply it for you. You want to apply it each time. So then you're going to hit save. So now you're in the template section. Okay, so don't ever confuse this for the transaction section. So you don't ever want to start an offer in your templates. You want to start your offers in transactions. So right now, like I said, we're just creating templates. So the first thing that we're going to do is look for the form that we want. So first form would be buyer representation form, California purchase agreement. And those are basically the only forms you need when you're writing an offer, unless there's an attachment, but we'll get to that next. So the first thing you want to do is click on your buyer representation form, go down, and then where it says the buyer, you're going to just X where the buyer is. Obviously, you don't know who your next buyer is going to be, so you're going to leave that blank, but you know who your agent is, right? You. So here is where you're going to write your company name. So whether you're with Champions or Remax, you're going to write your company name there. And then you're going to put your name here under salesperson or associate. Okay. And then the license number for your company. If you're not sure what it is, I can help you. And then your license number. Okay, does everybody see that already?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So make sure you have the correct. I know Champion's license number is actually this one, 02113020. And I know that because that's the last numbers of my cell phone number. So that's your license number, okay? And then we're going to go down here. And then obviously you're not going to have a date and you're not going to have a buyer yet because this is a template, remember? You're not going to have a representation period, but you do want to mark exclusive. So make sure you click A2, exclusive, Don't want to forget that. That's important. And then down here where it says location, counties, you can type in counties if you're used, especially if you're used to working like, you could even put right here, Riverside, San Bernardino, LA, and Orange, because obviously those are probably the counties everybody works. Just to remind you in case you forget, because you have to make sure you complete that correctly. And then right here where it says amount of compensation. So I recommend you put 3%. And the reason doesn't mean you're going to always get 3%, but the reason I recommend that you put that is because you don't know which sellers are offering 3%. So you don't ever want to undermine yourself, right? Now, if the agent tells you, you know what, my buyers or my sellers only paying 2% or 2.5% or whatever the case is, then you can adjust it at that time. But if you're not sure, I don't ever ask, what is your seller paying? I don't ask that. I submit the 3%, and then if they're going to counter me, they're going to counter me. Okay, so always leave that there. You always want the most. Put 10%. Look at, just kidding. No. And then it says, and if any, I put in there the 650 because that covers your TC fee, and it covers E&O and some of your other miscellaneous fees. So you want to make sure that you put that in there as well. And then come down to E3, continued right to payment for broker involved properties. So you're going to put 180 days there. What does that mean when you put that? What that means is if I was showing Pablo properties and Pablo did not get any offers accepted, and now my buyer broker agreement is not canceled, but expired, but now that property comes back on the market, and now Pablo's like, hey, I'm interested in that property, and if another agent tries to take him, I'm protected for 6 months of him going back to a property that I showed him. I'm entitled to that money. Does that make sense? So you always want to put the 180 days on there. Okay. And when you're explaining it to your clients, you just have to tell them, in the event the home that I showed you is not available, but it becomes available later, it covers, our original agreement. Okay, no problem. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to explain it to them how I explained it to you, where I'm going to come after you, for your money, because they're going to be, wait, so you just, practice those things. We'll practice those things. Okay. And so the next thing we're going to go to, everything else is pretty much like like G1 says within 5, you can see that you're supposed to send them. You can attach it's called a buyer personal financial information, where you can show them the breakdown of how the money is going to be given, I guess you could say. But a lot of agents don't even bother with that, because most of the time sellers are paying, so you're not having to worry about that. And then G2, buyer does not have sufficient funds to pay broker. So in the event the buyer doesn't have any funds, then you can mark that, and you can because they might tell you, I'm not going to pay you, I can't pay you. So then you definitely have to make sure that, you're showing them properties that the seller is going to compensate. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then you just keep going. Everything else is just, I want you guys to read it so you understand what you guys are explaining. But it's pretty self-explanatory. It just it breaks everything down about the compensation and what your duties are, and what you're supposed to do. And just make sure your clients initial each page. Because you selected exclusive and for that check mark in the first page, they have to initial this 15. If exclusive is checked in paragraph 2A2, they have to initial here in order for it to be valid. Exclusive meaning they're not working with any other agent except you, because if that's not marked, then they have the right to work with multiple agents. Okay, so make sure that you are marking 2A and then initialing section 15. Entity buyers, you're not going to mark that because, again, we don't know, but the only time you would mark that is in the event the buyer is like a trust, the property's in a trust, they're in an LLC or some type of corporation. They're not buying it, as an individual. They're buying it, as an entity. So that is when that would be marked. And when you do click on that, another form, which is RCSD, is going to be auto-generated. So then you'll have to fill that form out as well. So you're going to go down here under broker signatures and complete your information. So for you guys, the address is the 1510 North Mountain Avenue, number 117. And then that's in Ontario. So you want to fill that out so it's one and done. You don't have to do it every single time you're completing this form. Everything's already, that's the whole purpose, is so it's done for you. 91762. And so that's what it looks like. And then you're going to put your phone number here.
It's 1520 North Mountain Avenue, number 117.
Okay, so once you have that filled out, let me put my correct one because that's not mine. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay, so there's that. So then now we're going to go to the next thing, which again, we don't have a property address, which is fine. Obviously, this will get filled out once you have a client. Okay, so there's nothing else that really needs to be filled out because everything gets auto done already. So that is your buyer broker agreement. Okay, so you can save that on the side just so nothing changes. So save that. And then the next one is the California purchase agreement. So you're going to hit the plus. That way it drags it up into your workspace, and then you're going to click on it. So it should have the disclosure regarding agency should have it ready. What is it called? The California Residential Purchase Agreement. And then once you're here on the California Residential Purchase Agreement, you are going to, again, leave all of this blank because the date you prepare always changes, who the offer is from always changes, and the property address and parcel, all of this information is going to change. Obviously, the seller's agent is going to change as well. So it should just have your information, your license, your company's license number. You can check the buyer's agent under buyer broker's firm, the buyer's agent. But just be mindful that if it is another RE/MAX agent from Champions or another Champions realtor, then that is considered a dual agency, even if you are not the same agent, because you have the same broker, you are dual agency. Now, for me, if I'm working with the Champions agent, it is not a dual agency because we have different brokers. How you know that is your license number of the company. If that license number is the same, it's a dual agency. Okay, so just be mindful of that. And then you're going to come down here. Obviously, purchase price is always going to change, so you're not going to mess with that. On close of escrow, I would select 30 days just because that's standard. So you want to just put in 30 days. Yes, it's right here. And then obviously when you're writing it, it'll, if your client's like, I could do it in 10 days or whatever, just remember to change that. Okay. You can update it, but more likely it's 30 days. And then obviously your loan amount is going to be different. The deposit's going to be different, but I always put in 10,000. And the reason I do that is because it reminds me to ask them how much their deposit is. Okay, so that's a reminder for me. That, you know, they're going to have to give a deposit, and then obviously loan amount's going to change. And then so is the loan. So all the way up to the right where it says conventional or if checked, it defaults to conventional. So if it's a conventional loan, you don't have to check anything. If it's FHA, VA, or other, then you would mark, you know, the other part. And then you're going to come down to the next page and seller credit to buyer. So this is if you're asking the seller to pay for any closing costs on behalf of your buyer. That's where you would put that there, but right now we're not going to worry about that. The next box under G2, additional seller credit. This is doesn't include buyer broker compensation. So this could be, let's just say the carpet is no good, or they because some sellers will say, oh, we're going to give a credit for the roof because it's leaking or something like that. Then you can put on there, you know, seller to credit 15,000, you know, to roofer, because an invoice would have to be submitted to escrow regarding whatever that is. So then we're going to select here seller payment from buyer's broker. So you're going to click that because you always want to ask for compensation in your offer. I can tell you that being a listing agent, there's so many agents that'll click that and they put no amount. So guess what? You think you're negotiating, they sign your offer. Guess what? No commission.
Hey.
So be smart about that. So right here, remember, what did we say? 3%. So hit 3%. So worst case scenario, what are they going to tell you?
No 3%.
No 3%, 2%. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then, and then you're going to go down here, select pre-approval under H3, because you should always have some kind of pre-approval when you're submitting your offer.
Pre-approval or pre-qualification?
Pre-approval. So the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval and a full written under approval. So if you're working with Carlos for the grant and he's already had it underwritten, that's a full written approval. His are. If a pre-qualification is when the lender just spoke to the person. Oh yeah, they seem like they'll be okay. That's legit, you know. And then pre-approval is when they've actually met, provided their documents, you know, they've already looked at their financials, but
They have a pre-approval letter.
yeah, they have a pre-approval letter, like a DU findings, but they haven't been submitted to the underwriter yet. Okay, so that's, but it's better than a pre-qual. You don't ever want to.
Pre-qual doesn't
Yeah,
mean-
yeah. So so then you're going to keep going down, and then down here it says loan contingency, keep it 17 days, appraisal 17 days. I typically put 10 days under inspection, because I think it's important to know right away if your clients are moving forward. Not just for a seller, but yeah, not just for a seller, but for a buyer too. You want to make sure, like, is this buyer going to proceed or not? If not, then cancel and move on. So even sometimes I even will go to 7 days. Because sometimes you have to be a little bit more aggressive. So you could even tell your client, you know what, we can get the appraisal. I mean, not the appraisal, the inspection done within 48 hours. Like, we can do it pretty quickly. And in the event that you have to do further investigations because maybe they found something, you can always ask for an extension. So don't worry about that, but you definitely want to get on those inspections as soon as possible. So what I usually do is put 10 all the way down. So 10 days for insurance, 10 days for them to review seller's documents, 10 days for them to review the preliminary title report, 10 days for them to review any HOA docs, if there's any. And then this also, the next one, review of leased or lien items. If it has solar, water filters, or anything else that's leased on the property, then they have 10 days. And like I said, the whole purpose is because you want to make sure your clients are kept in line. Now, just so you guys know, 10 days from acceptance. So if it's accepted today, they have 10 days. Day one begins tomorrow. Okay, that's how it works. But here's a seller review of documents, right? If the seller if the agent doesn't give you documents till the 10th day, then you have 5 additional days from the day that they delivered it to you. So a lot of times, a lot of weight relies on sellers agents, and I could tell you 50% of them are horrible. So even though even though you'd shorten your time, it's like you didn't, because they're not on top of it. And even if they piecemeal you everything, or if a correction needs to be made, so let's say they send you their seller property questionnaire or the TDS or any of the seller required forms, and they're not filled out accurately, when you send it back to them to complete and then they send it back to you, you have an additional 5 days from the day they send that to you. Okay, so I hope you guys aren't falling asleep on me over there. And so then here, time in possession. So this here means when escrow closes, when does buyer get keys? So upon notice of recordation, so basically means the day it closes. So upon notice of recordation, that would only be if the home's vacant.
Mhm.
Because if it's vacant, or if your sellers are going to move out ahead of time, then that could be the case. Otherwise, you want to mark 6 p.m. because if we get confirmation at 2 in the afternoon or at 10 a.m., that means they have to leave. So we just want to be mindful of, of our seller. But let's say the seller needs time after escrow, then you would go down here to seller occupied, and you would put on here how many days. So here, if let's just say the seller was going to get 3 days after escrow closes, you're going to mark the top box where it says 29 or fewer days. And the reason is because the laws change depending on how long a seller remains in the property. If they stay 29 days or less, then there's certain rules that apply. If they stay more than 29, which equals 30 or more, they now become a tenant. So now they're in a lease. They have to sign a lease agreement. So it's different. So definitely negotiating that is important, and making sure, you understand and your clients understand what it is that they're signing. So if you noticed, when I X that 3 days, it added the form over here. So you can, fill that form out, or you can just take this off for now, because you don't know, every home is going to be different, but make sure you pay attention to that as well. And then seller delivery of documents, I always put 5 because I want to receive them again sooner than later. If I'm going to have my clients, remove their contingency in less days, then they are expected to get that to us as soon as possible. Okay. So then we're going to go down to to the area P, items included. So here I keep as defaulted the stove, the dishwasher, microwave, and the video doorbell, and smart home control devices, and the security stuff. And the reason I do that is because, again, when you're negotiating, sometimes you forget. So by keeping these already automatically, it's easier for them to counter you out and say, there's no Ring doorbell, or there's no this or that. But if you forget, guess what? They're not going to leave it. So you can or like when I'm showing properties, I'll make note like, oh, this house had this or this or that. That way I make sure when I am writing the offer that, because right here where it says additional items included, let's just say they have an above ground pool. Let's just say that's super common, for that not to even be discussed. So they have a above ground pool. Seller in their brain is like, I'm leaving it. What am I going to do with it? Buyer's like, it's not personal. I mean, it's not a fixed. They can take it.
Mhm.
And then they go to do the walkthrough, and the buyer's telling the agent, hey, I don't want this pool here. Why is it still here? And then you, agent, go back to the other agent and say, hey, why is the pool still there? Well, you guys didn't tell us to remove it. It was included. But there was never no conversation. So who's right or who's wrong? Who's going to pay to have it removed? So now it becomes an agent issue more than anything, because it shouldn't become the buyer or seller issue, because it's not their fault those conversations weren't had.
Mhm.
So please be mindful of stuff like that. If you see sheds in the back, if you see containers, excessive trash, like, like not normal or regular trash. I mean, if you're not sure, ask, but if you see any of those things and your client is like, this is all going to be removed, right? Don't just be like, oh yeah, because the contract does say the house to be free and clear, but you know what? Sometimes we have to be specific for people to actually do stuff. So you don't want to be that person at the very end where now you have to be spending your day and your 2 weeks hauling trash out. So make sure you over negotiate.
So where would you put that? Additional items, excluded items?
Yeah, excluded items. Yeah. And then also down here, other terms, if you need to, you can put down there, like, there's 3 sheds, all 3 to be removed, or 2 to be removed. The one that looks like this or whatever is not to be removed or whatever. So, I mean, if you need more space, you can do that. And you can always, it actually attaches an additional addendum if you need more space down here. So that's why if you need more space, just type it down there. So, okay. So we got that, right? We're good. So here, the next thing is Q1, natural hazard zone disclosure. So typically seller pays for that. And then you can put whoever your preferred person is. So let's just say it's Snap NHD or it's Property ID, whoever. You would put that there. Optional wildfire disclosure report. If you want, you can just select seller, because right now we don't know if we're in any type of wildfire zones right now. Everywhere is wild. So you can just mark that and then let them counter it out if that's the case. And then same thing, you can click on whoever's going to provide that report. And then the next Q3, you can put it here. Not everybody's going to like this, but you can put termite report and section 1 clearance. So basically any findings, if there's any termites or dry rot or any fungus damage to the property, you're asking the seller to take this off. Now, just so you know, sometimes when I write the offer, I actually will remove that, because sometimes sellers are like, right off the bat, I'm not doing a termite. So a lot of agents, what they do is they don't include it in the offer. They do their own inspection and they include it in the request for repairs if there's anything that needs to be concerned with. Okay, but I keep it there just in, I decide when I'm going to send the offer, what I'm going to do. But again, I like to keep this as a guide to remind myself. Okay. And then smoke alarms, seller. And then you're going to skip Q5 and Q6. And then down here, escrow fee, it's each to pay their own. And then down here, what I do is where it says escrow holder, you can put seller's choice, because typically seller picks, or you can put legacy first escrow. So if if they don't have a preference, then you can tell them they can use legacy. And then the homeowner's title insurance policy, same thing. This one is going to be marked seller, and then you're going to do the same thing, seller's choice, or I like to use Marlena, so you can put or SoCal title. Again, that's if they don't have. Most of the time they do, so you're not going to be worried about that. The next thing is Q10 and 11, seller. So if there's any county transfer taxes and city, not every city charges transfer tax. Counties charge every time, but not cities. Okay, so, but I always keep it marked just in case. And then I also always keep HOA transfer fees. And the reason I keep that marked is because I rather uncheck it, or again, I rather them tell me, Sonia, there's no HOA here in case I forget, than me forgetting to mark it, and now my buyer has to pay for it. Okay, so that's the whole reason for the templates, to remind you. Okay.
So it would be seller?
I put seller, yeah, for the HOA transfer. And then there's typically never any private transfer fees. I don't really see that ever. there's some HOAs that do have certain transfer fees. They call it an enhancement fee, but don't worry about that. So we'll skip that. The next thing here, we're going to put admin fee. That's at $650. So you're going to put buyer right here. So admin $650 right there.
Mhm.
And then the next thing is the Q18 seller. And this is the home warranty. Now I need you guys to really pay attention to the house that you are selling, because it's not a one size fits all home warranty. So let's just say, so currently I use Old Republic or First American, but like, so with Old Republic, I need about $850 right now on just a regular house. That's no pool, that's no solar, no septic, no nothing. That's just a standard protection for a home. It's not even standard. It's a little bit upgraded, but you want the upgraded version. Remember, you're protecting your buyer. So ask for $850. But if the house has a pool, or if it has anything else that you want, make sure you have a brochure and that you're showing your client what the cost is. So that way you might have to ask for $1,100, and if the seller counters you back and says, I only want to pay 800, then you tell your client, well, now you have to pay 3 additional hundred to have the better plan. But they might say, no, I'm good with the basic plan. Okay, well then at least give them the option. Don't assume for them. Okay. But always just keep it, like I said, 850, unless it has it has a pool and other things. So get familiar with your home warranty plans. And so then the next page here, we're not going to mark anything because obviously we don't know what's going to be attached. But here, don't ever forget your septic. If that property's on septic, you have to attach a septic addendum. Okay, so again, look at, if I click it, you notice it's going to add it. See, it added it here.
Mm.
Okay, so once you add it, what you're going to do on the septic is you're going to put seller. Who's paying for what? Seller. Seller's going to pay to locate where that tank is. Seller's going to pay to pump it, and seller's going to pay to certify that. Okay. So you're going to make sure all this is done, because if you don't, they're going to assume your buyer's paying for this. And this is about a $1,500 cost. So you want to make sure that, that you're, make sure, if it's a septic.
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll go back to I'm going to actually get rid of that form. I don't need it. I just wanted to show you guys that. So let me go back down here to that page. I think that was it. So those are just addendums. Just pay attention, see if any of them need to be attached. And then you're going to go all the way down to the last page where your signatures go, which is page 17 of 17, the last page of the RPA. And you want to make sure all of your information is completed on that back page. Company name, your name, DRE license numbers, address, email, phone number. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's basically it. That's your whole, yeah. That's your template, right? So now that you're done with that, after you're done, you're going to hit save. And then you're going to go back. Let me move these off. Or, let me move these off. I'm going to delete those because you don't need those. Okay. So now that that's done, your templates are ready to go. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to transactions. Okay. I'm going to show you how this works. Now I'm in transactions. Okay. When you are going to write an offer, you go to the matrix. Can you guys see the matrix? The MLS?
They're all muted.
I know.
No, we can't.
Okay, let me let me share that screen. That's why I wanted to make sure you guys could see. Wait, hold on. Okay, let's see. Can you see it now? I think you can, right? Can you guys see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
You see the property on Central?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say this is the house that your client wants to write an offer on. Okay, so if this is the house, you see the listing ID right here, the MLS number.
Yes.
So you're gonna copy that. Okay, now you're gonna go back to your win forms, and then tell me if you guys can see the win forms. Hold on.
You copied the listing ID or the parcel?
No, the listing ID. Hold on, guys. I have so many tabs open. Sorry. I have a zillion tabs open. Jeez. Let me just save all this stuff and get out of here. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see the transactions now?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Let me see. That's that's the part that drives me crazy about the Zoom. I don't know like what you guys can see and what you can and what you can't. Let me see.
Should I join it?
What's the I got it right here. Oh, I have to allow myself in. Okay, let me see. So you just see our heads. So let's see. Okay. Now you can see that, right? The transactions.
Yes.
Okay. So let me go down here. Okay. So in the transactions, what you're going to do is you are going to go to new. You're going to hit new. And then you're going to hit new purchase. And the first thing you're going to do is where you see on the right, it's in blue. It says MLS Connect. You see that? So you're going to select MLS Connect, and then you're going to paste that MLS number that you had. Okay, include property photo and find it. So you want it to look for it. So you got to make sure that it is the correct address, verify it. Now, just so you know, if the property is on hold, if it's expired, it's not going to be in the MLS. So like sometimes agents put it on hold because they don't want to show it anymore, but now you're going to write the offer. You're going to be like, how come it's not coming up? Because it's no longer an active listing. So, so you're gonna have to do it manually, which is a bummer. So you don't want to do that. So you're going to hit listing. And then what I do is I will copy the address because I don't like to name my transactions after clients' names, because if you're writing 5 offers for them, you're going to have so many transactions with their names and it just gets messy. So just name it the address. Category is residential. And then you're going to go down to your templates, right? That you just created. So you should be able to see your template. Do you see your template? Okay. So here's the one I just did. 3 of 25. And then you're going to go save. Okay, so then now the next thing you're going to do is you can input your parties here if you wanted to. So you can put your buyers' names and their emails, because when you go to do the signing, it makes it super easy. So if you know who your buyers are, you can input that there. That's always super helpful. And then the next thing you go to is documents. So your documents are already there because you had already filled them out. So now here's your buyer broker agreement. And remember, you only have to do the buyer broker agreement once. So the next time let's say you're writing another offer, skip it. You don't have to do it. Just do the RPA. But here's my buyer. So if you notice, my contract is already completed. So I'm going to put Mr. Buyer, but if you notice, my information's already here. And then I'm going to go to the buyer broker agreement and look, everything's already filled out. Basically, I just have to put today's date, and then, today's date beginning, and then 3 months. So you're like 1, 2, 3, and then today's the 7th. So we'll just say the 6th. So that's when it would expire. And then you go down, and like I said, you just fill in the stuff that's necessary. Then you're going to go to your offer. And just so you guys could see that it's there, again, your information is there. Sorry, it's Mr. Buyer, and your information's there.
Sonia, sorry, we lost you. Once we did the new one, where it brought it up from the MLS, right? How do you see your documents?
You have to add
You
your
go to all
template.
forms? How do you add the template? You go to all forms?
You were supposed to add it when you created the transaction. So hold on, I'll go back.
Oh, no.
Okay, let me go back really quick. Let me show.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Um,
So show them where they're at.
so right here when you're
Oh,
doing.
yeah. I did that.
Oh.
So add your templates at the bottom. So we're gonna go back really quick, you guys.
Is this where I put the MLS listing? in?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
When you create your transaction, so we'll create a new transaction again.
And then put.
You go to new, and then it's a purchase because you're helping a buyer. And this MLS Connect right here. Use that button. Paste in. Oh shoot, I took out my listing ID because I copied and pasted the address. But you're gonna paste in your the MLS number here and find the listing, and then it's gonna bring you here. Name the property address there, and then don't forget to select a template. Okay, you got to find your template here, and then once you do that, now it's going to create your transaction. Okay, so then once you're in your transaction, like I said, add parties, your buyers information, just because it makes it easier anytime you're sending them anything to sign. And then here is your offer. So I'm just going to show you that it's already auto-filled. If you notice that, you see that? Isn't that beautiful?
So
Saves
beautiful.
so much time.
So you're going to want to make sure, because William Johnson is his own broker. So you're going to select seller there. You're going to, put the date. But if you notice, the buyer's name's there. Now the property addresses are there. Everything got imported, which makes it so nice. So now you're going to discuss with your client, what price are you thinking about offering? Are we going to do a 30-day escrow? Are you okay with the $10,000 deposit? The EMD, remember that money goes towards their down payment. So it's not in addition to, it goes towards their down payment. Now, the minimum usually that people want is, we're going to say that this offers $575,000. Let's just say the minimum, if you notice here, deposit amount is 1%. So you notice he's giving 1.74. But obviously, the more deposit you give, the stronger your offer looks. And remember, this is refundable if they decide to cancel within their contingency periods. So here you're going to put the loan amount. Let's just say they're putting $75,000 down. So then here is your loan amount. Now they're doing FHA. So if you select FHA, you notice another form has been imported. So make sure you fill out that form. And then you're going to go down. Let's say this particular buyer needs $5,000 of closing costs help. So you're going to select seller to credit buyer, $5,000. Okay. And then your 3% is already there, nice and ready to negotiate.
Mhm.
Your pre-approvals marked. And like, let's just say this particular lender already has them, they say, we can get a pre-approval in 10 days. Okay, so then we'll put 12 days here. We'll reduce this. So you can reduce this if you want to, or you can leave it. Okay. Or if your client says, I don't want to put an appraisal contingency, remove the contingency because they're getting a smoking deal and that value is not going to be an issue. Then you can remove that. And then when you do remove that, you also want to select here to remove it in writing, which if you notice, it added another form, which is buyer contingency removal. So you want to make sure you check the appropriate box to remove that contingency. And this particular property, there's a seller that lives there and they need 10 days after escrow to close or to move out. I'm sorry. So you're going to put 10 days and then it's going to add that seller in possession addendum. So you're going to want to complete that addendum as well. Always make sure you complete the attached addendums because there's specific verbiage in the event something takes place as it, as if in case they don't do what they should, I should say. Okay, so then that's that. And then you notice that this particular home has an electric charging station for your client's Tesla. So you want that. So make sure you mark that. And there's some potted trees that that accent the front of the home. You want them to keep that. So be mindful of it. This is definitely an important section to talk to your client about. Was there anything in that property that you saw that you wanted? Or you did not want. So these are all important things. Okay, so make sure that. And then, like I said, everything else, if you notice, is already filled out for you. Isn't that? It's just beautiful. I just could stare at it all day long. No, just kidding. And then the HOA transfer fees, this one's not in an HOA. So then at this point, you can take it off. And this property has a pool. So now we're going to increase this, let's just say, to cover the pool. So like I said, the purpose of the template is to guide you, to help you. And that way, it kind of gives you structure when you're completing your form. And that's basically it. You guys have any questions?
Sonia, do we have access to this recording?
Ooh, you sure do.
Thank you.
Is that the only question? Everyone else is good?
For now.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So what happens if there's more than 2 buyers?
So if there's more than 2 buyers, there's a form. Hold on a second. Let me go back here. Tell you what the name of it is. It's actually on the last page, so I'll show you. Let me share this again with you guys, the screen. Oh, wait, hold on. Where did it go? Let me load it again. It's okay.
Additional signature addendum?
Yeah, I'm going to show it to them. So let me go here, window. Okay. Okay. So here is the the offer again. So we're gonna go to the last page, the 17 of 17. So here it is on this page right here. Where's this buyer signature? Hold on, guys. Sorry. Looking for the, oh, looking at the wrong one. Okay. So here, page 15 of 17. Do you guys see that right here?
Yes.
So right here it says if more than 2 signers. Do you see that?
Okay, yes, I see it.
So then you would select that, and what it does is it's going to add the ASA, that form. So then you're going to click on additional signature addendum. Now this can only be used when you're writing your offer. If a buyer is being added during escrow after an offer's been executed, you cannot use this form. Okay, so this is only when you're initially writing offers. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to hit residential purchase agreement, the date of the purchase agreement, the property address, and then the names of the buyers and sellers. And if this person is an additional buyer, then you're going to select buyer, and then you're going to put their name. And then, you're going to do that for each additional signer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So that's kind of what that would look like. Does anyone else have any other questions? That was a great question, Candy. Because right now we do have multiple buyers. Any other questions, guys? Or we're good for now?
Sonia, are you going to be emailing this recording to us as well?
Yeah, I can email it to you guys.
Okay, perfect. Because I was kind of in and out since I'm still at work.
Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, that's why I decided to record it because I think it's easier that way. And I'll also email you a copy of what we filled out so you guys can kind of just like have a guide.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. If you need anything, please let me know. I'll be in touch with you guys regarding the open houses for the weekend, and we can go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love your little picture with your body behind it. All right, you guys. Have a good one. I'll talk to
Bye,
you soon.
Sonia.
Okay,
Bye. Talk to you
bye-bye.
soon.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.